Florida Truaillidh. We get plenty of massive matchups in Week 10 with 2, 6, and 3 teams going at it. We also have 3 close divisional races with just a game separating 2 teams in each division. And of course, we have 2 of those second place teams who are 5th and 6th seeds at the moment squaring off in our next as 5 and 4 the Stellar Bitches travel to take on 5 and 4 the Clash at Demonhead at the waters of Cirein-Cròin.
The waters of Cirein-Cròin is a large area of lakes and sea that separates the Flatlands of Scail and the Wetlands of Arawn. These waters were mystical with magical properties from those who submerged themselves in mended wounds, took away the need to sleep, and also allowed anyone to breathe. It made underwater exploration nothing more than an adventure to see what might lie on the floor of the sea and surrounding lakes. Obscitans Abyssus could not let an advantage like this exist and decided to pollute the area, opening up gates and bringing toxins from other worlds. The waters were soon affected, and anyone who fell in would have mental issues almost instantly. Chaotic waves, changes in color, and acidic bubbles forced the Aishi to rethink how they could travel in this area. But things are going to get worse, as one of the gates brought with it a sea creature known as Cirein-Cròin. This creature is a trickster, with travelers believing it was nothing more than a tiny silver fish. But in reality, this is a massive beast that wanders the sea and can enter many of the lakes through inlets. Many Aishi fell trapped to the seismos direction and were swallowed up by the large creature. Suddenly, travel wasn't easy, and the Aishi were cut off from the quickest route between the wetlands and the flatlands. So of course, Obscitans Abyssus decided to bring more instability with the addition of a new artifact. A weapon of invincibility known as the Sword of Òrdugh. Òrdugh, a god that loved to travel to your Earth as well as our world, was a frequent visitor to the waters. So when the Aishi found a sword, it was believed to be the one from the legend, a sword that meant victory was guaranteed. In reality, the sword was a honing beacon for Cirein-Cròin, so when you went to slay the beast, you would be caught off guard and swallowed whole. The sword would then float to the surface to be found by the next victim. Our queen discovered this and sealed the sword away to avoid more losses and banned Aishi from traveling through the waters. Unfortunately, 2 teams are going to have to play, and hope they are also not swallowed whole, as the Clash at Demonhead hosts the Stellar Bitches, with a lot on the line. As they battle to remain in the hunt to be the chosen one, Cirein-Cròin is being used to break the seal to the Sword of Òrdugh.
The Stellar Bitches still need a defense at the time of this recording, so the Clash at Demonhead currently has a 53.9% chance to win. The Jets get to face the Raiders, though, so I would say that the Bitches will need to get a defense to make this more of a toss-up. The Clash at Demonhead does not have the advantage at running back with Isaiah Pacheco on a bye. Bijan Robinson, who has not lived up to his draft pick, has a good matchup, and Rashad White has been solid lately. White and Robinson are expected to score better than Chuba Hubbard and Samaje Perine on the other side, unless Hubbard and Perine reach the end zone, of course. Amari Cooper has actually been better than Devontae Adams this season, but both have tough matchups. That is certainly an area to watch. Mark Andrews has the tougher matchup at tight end, and Dalton Schultz has come alive in what has turned into a potent Houston passing attack. This spot could be key as well. Christian Watson versus Cole Kmet in the flex both look to be touchdown dependent, but Evan McPherson has the better matchup at kicker with Justin Tucker possibly limited with opportunities. The Browns' defense could also force mostly field goals, though, which could mean Tucker gets 50-plus yard opportunities. Jamar Chase can be a big boost for the Clash at Demonhead, as he can cancel out Joe Burrow touchdowns. Keenan Allen is obviously a maniac. I mean, did you see that catch on Monday night? He could get plenty of opportunities against Detroit here in this matchup. But there are two areas I'm looking at here, and they are both at quarterback. For the stellar bitches, we must look at Joe Burrow. Burrow struggled early this season with a calf injury. He just wasn't able to move in the pocket, and it hurt his throwing. He likes to roll out. Those types of things couldn't do that. But he's looking like his old self again the past 4 games. 10 touchdowns, just 2 picks. He also has had over 275 passing yards in 3 of those games and went over 300 yards twice. The biggest total came last week when he had 348 yards against the Bills. This is a big contrast to early in the season. He had under 275 yards in the first 4 games and just 2 touchdowns overall. He also had under 200 yards passing twice. His opponent this week is not easy against quarterbacks, though. Through 8 games, the Texans have allowed 7 passing touchdowns. They also have 4 interceptions. They've allowed about 250 passing yards per game. One note on this, however, is that Lamar Jackson and Trevor Lawrence were probably the best quarterbacks Houston has faced. Baker Mayfield's okay as well. They allowed over 300 passing yards to the Falcons and Saints, though. That's also notable. If Burrow continues to play well, he could be the one that exposes this defense as not actually being as good as they seem. That would be a big boost if Burrow can score over 25 points for the stellar bitches. But if Burrow is kept out of the end zone, it could mean trouble. And the reason it could mean trouble is because the Clash at Demonhead have Josh Allen on the other side with a matchup against Denver. We all remember how Denver got torched. Josh Allen has actually looked off at times this season, and it most likely has to do with his shoulder injury. Clearly not 100%. And yet he still has been good for fantasy purposes. He's had multiple touchdowns in all but 1 game this season. He's had 3 or more in all but 4 games, so he clearly has that big point potential. He's also rushed for over 40 yards 3 times this season, which pads his stats in those games. He's thrown under 275 yards in all but 1 game, though, in the past 4 games. He had a kind of a stronger start at the beginning. That was against Tampa Bay, which was obviously just decimated by C.J. Stroud, so you got to put that into question. And then we got to go to Denver. Denver's defense has been terrible overall when you look at all their stats, but they've actually had some good games lately. After allowing 5 touchdowns to Tua Tagovailoa and 4 touchdowns to Justin Fields early in the season, the defense has only allowed 3 touchdowns in the last 4 games, including just 1 by Patrick Mahomes in 2 different games combined. Let that sink in a little bit. Denver allowed 13 passing touchdowns in the first 4 weeks. They've allowed just 3 since. Also, they've allowed 2 300-plus yard passing games in the first 4 weeks, with Sam Howell reaching 299 yards in week 2, so you can pretty much make that 3 times. Besides allowing 306 passing yards to Mahomes in week 6, the Broncos haven't allowed more than 250 passing yards in 3 of the last 4 games. This does include going up against Zach Wilson and Jordan Love, and Mahomes had an illness, they say, in the second matchup in week 8, so you got to take that into account. Another thing to think about is Denver's coming off a bye, and they've had a lot of time to prepare for Buffalo's offense here. If Josh Allen could pad his stats with his rushing abilities and still get multiple touchdowns, that could be all the Clash of Demonhead need to win a close game. But if Allen has his worst game of the season and struggles to get anything going, that could be a big blow that knocks the Clash of Demonhead out of playoff position. Could be the difference. Regardless, this matchup is looking like one that will be decided by just a few plays. It should obviously be a good one, essentially one that is already giving us a playoff feel, right? Like it kind of has a playoff feel to it. But what about the rest of the league? There are certainly games with playoff feels. Some teams are in must-win territory, and there's also some potential playoff previews. 3-6 low-key Lebowski Thor hosts 4-5 Risky Business at the Pastures of Fardora. Risky Business will have a 91% chance to win until Lebowski Thor finds a quarterback, and this is without Risky Business making moves with his lineup either. Risky Business is expected to play Christian McCaffrey, which would up his totals even more, and that will also give him a big edge at running back. Kyler Murray might play, which would give him a decision at quarterback, and the Cowboys' defense might go off this week against the lowly Giants. Lebowski Thor will need to make a lot of moves. The Steelers' defense might be his highest scoring player at the moment, with Jalen Hurts on a bye. The 2-7 Siamese Dreamcats host 6-3 Remember the Titans at the Gardens of Leodin. Remember the Titans has a 58.4% chance to win this week, but the Dreamcats might actually make this a little closer, looking stronger than previous weeks, even with the byes. Brock Purdy versus Lamar Jackson is pretty big. Aaron Jones versus David Montgomery, and the Colts defense versus Minnesota are key areas as well. Also, can Deebo Samuel and Brandon Ayuk do well in the same lineup? And can Tony Pollard and CeeDee Lamb do well with Dallas' offense? Not always looking all that great, and Dak Prescott kind of giving it to random people for touchdowns lately. 3-6 Air Jordan travels to take on 7-2 Green Acres at the Bogs of Diamirach. Green Acres comes in with a 58.7% chance to win. Green Acres decided to bench Mr. 50 CJ Stroud for Geno Smith. Air Jordan has a choice between Dak Prescott and Jordan Love. The quarterback position will probably be key here. Alvin Kamara and Derrick Henry versus T. Higgins and Garrett Wilson will be areas to watch. Green Acres has to deal with Tyreek Hill on a bye as well, which hurts. Gus Edwards has been a goal line machine, and the Raiders' defense clearly is an advantage for Green Acres. My 3-6 Gashgia Slews travel to face the 4-5 Multiple Scoregasms at the abandoned villages of Bonanock. My Slews enter with a 66.8% chance to win, but nothing is ever that certain. Jared Goff versus Trevor Lawrence, Austin Eckler and Javonte Williams versus Saquon Barkley and Kareem Hunt, and Stephon Diggs versus DeAndre Hopkins are places to watch. Christian Kirk can cancel out Lawrence touchdowns, and Amon-Ra St. Brown can cancel out Goff touchdowns, so those will be big players here too. Both defenses are good, but have matchups that could limit points. And in a potential playoff preview, the 6-3 defending champion Elite Mother Tuckers host 6-3 Bandidos del Rio at Cascade Isle. Bandidos is having a problem with Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelce, and the Chiefs' defense on byes. The Elite Mother Tuckers have a 63.6% chance to win, but have Cooper Kupp and A.J. Brown on a bye. Justin Herbert versus Derek Carr, Travis Etienne versus Kenneth Walker, and DK Metcalf versus Chris Olave are key areas to watch. The Ravens versus the Falcons defense is big too. Kyler Murray might return for Arizona, and the Browns do have Deshaun Watson back now, so will both those defenses continue to score well. And whoever does better in the Mike Evans versus Chris Godwin battle could be a momentum shift. While no one can officially be eliminated this week, 4 teams are in jeopardy of having an impossible path to the playoffs if they lose. But no playoff berths can be clinched this week, and division titles are clearly all still up for grabs. An exciting final quarter of the regular season looks to be certain to happen at this point. We also have some exciting updates on Sunday content. I said it was coming. We'll have some bonus Sunday content coming up, not this Sunday, but the following Sunday. And there will be bonus content for 5 Sundays until the end of the season, including the Sunday after our season finale. And of course, the first one will not include anyone. It'll just be me doing a segment. But then we're going to have some Game of the Week winners, potential division winners, and all that coming up. So it'll be real fun. So get ready for some extra league talk. And that's the show for the week! Hope you enjoyed it. Before you go, check out the updated league power rankings. Until next time, salud.